Hello, this is Donna Gilcher of Starfish Speaks. Join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 to discuss hot topics in education. We will talk about resources in the community that address the needs of children with disabilities and enhance the lives of parents and much more. So join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 for Starfish Speaks. If you have a question, we have answers.
News Talk Cleveland, WERE, Cleveland Heights, WENZ HD2, and WZAK HD3 Cleveland. And streaming live at blackplanetradio.com. This is a paid program brought to you by Starfish Speaks. The views and opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of this station or its management.
Speaks right here on News Talk 1490 WERE, the People Station. The very first show of the year, man. I'm very excited. So sit back, relax, get a cup of coffee, a hot chocolate, anything you want, man. Sit back, enjoy the show. We got a good one. I'm your host for today, Mr. Greg Stuart, alongside my co-host, Mr. Willem Ekels. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right, it's the first show of the year.
And our regular host is enjoying Hawaii.
Right. Most definitely. We got to say hi to our regular host, Miss Donna Gilcher. Hey, Donna, this is for you. Oh, man, we got a very good show lined up for you today. I'm very excited. And we also have a very special guest in the building. Not only is he a good friend of mine, but he's an advocate for people with disabilities. And I'm going to introduce him. Mr. Calvin Turner, what's going on, man?
Oh, not much, not much. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
it's a
man.
wonderful show here. A nice platform that you guys have where we get to talk about issues that's going on that others may not want to talk about.
Yeah, man, most definitely, most definitely. I'm looking forward to it. That's why I wanted you to come on and be a guest on the show, and I greatly appreciate it.
Well, again, I thank you all, and it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. As you guys know, we are almost 3 decades into the Americans with Disabilities Act, or what is now being known as the ADA, and it has opened the doors for a lot of people with disabilities. Myself and Calvin, I know you can identify with that, and Willem, I know you can also.
Absolutely.
Yes. As I said, being born with a disability, it takes a lot of patience, education, and that's just something that we're going to touch on where America isn't getting enough of it, as I feel. And I only say that as
most
in
definitely.
Just the information is out there, but how do you go about obtaining it and providing it out there for others?
Exactly, most definitely. If you don't mind, man, why don't you give our listeners a little bit of your background? Give me a little bit of your insight.
Well, born and raised right here in Cleveland, born with a disability, wheelchair bound. I started off as in just training with an agency here in Ohio who has helped Ohioans with a disability. I was a consumer support advocate for them, reaching out to the community to let them know, let all of the participants know that there's people out there that can help us. And went on from there as into just letting them know 211, first call for help, as well as just being able to get out there in the face of the public and let them know. I was also on the board of Disability Act, so I have years into this.
Right, most definitely. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but there are some very powerful sources that are trying to scrap the Americans with Disabilities Act like it never existed. And honestly, it's kind of disturbing, being somebody with a disability, cerebral palsy, and like you said, Calvin, going through the obstacles that we as people, when individuals face, especially those of us in wheelchairs, and for them to attempt to eliminate and scrap this like it just never existed. And honestly, it's very disturbing.
Yes, it is disturbing, and it's disturbing to the point where we, as individuals who have a disability, need to inform the public and the world just on how much it means. And as I say,
most
the
definitely.
ADA
Most
Act,
definitely.
Americans with Disability Act, came about in 1990.
Right.
But as I would like to call it now, I like to look at it as assisting disabled Americans.
That's a unique way of putting it.
That's the way
I like that.
I would like to look at it
I
as
like that.
assisting disabled Americans, not just Americans with Disability Act. I know this is edge and stone, so there's not something that you would go, but I want to look. I don't know about you, Greg, but when you're out in public or somewhere and someone says, "Where's the handicap?"
Right. I've dealt with that more
That's
times
something right
than
there
I care to
that
count.
that's just a term. It is a
Absolutely.
term, but it's a term that I myself don't particularly feel fond of. So I like to get Americans to understand it's called ADA.
It's called the Americans with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yes. Let's find where the ADA stall is at. Let's find out where the ADA parking, things like that.
Well, quick question though about that is, just honestly, play devil's advocate here for a moment.
Go
With
right ahead.
regards to that statement, when it comes to the term handicap, though,
Hold on.
What?
Willem's having mic issues.
it says on.
Go ahead, just keep
What?
talking.
Okay, so sorry about that. When it comes to the term handicap, is that what you're really kind of having an issue with? Is that use of the word handicap rather than referring to it as like ADA accessible parking or whatever else? Because if so, I mean,
Yeah, for as me myself, I don't like that term as a saying handicap because it puts more of a limit on what we have.
it's
That's
not-
that's what I feel. I feel like it limits us a little more than what we've progressed.
just using the word handicap though, because honestly, I'll say when I go golfing, I usually like having the use of actually handicap of being allowed to maybe tee off from what's usually used as been referred to as the women's tees before, which is closer to the hole, just simply because I'm not that actually great at being able to hit that ball that far down the course. But I mean, a handicap is more or less by definition, at least I understand, is something that's provided to sort of level a playing field, make things a little bit more equal for, say, those who might be starting out with something that's more of a disadvantage.
So I would use the word impediment.
Yep, that would be
I would use the
one
word
unique way
impediment.
of putting it.
And
Yeah.
it's not going against your words because again, that word, that definition has been etched in stone since before all of our time. So I'm just saying making the world the public more announced and brought in their horizon, if you may.
But does the use of the word handicap truly, say, limit that? Or is that just actually, say, something we allow ourselves to be limited by?
I would even go with okay with even using the word physically challenged. I can even tolerate that one a little bit faster than what I can handicapped, because to me, handicapped, in my opinion, means not being able to do too much of anything. And I don't like identifying with that word because even though I was born with this physical impediment, that doesn't limit me from going to work, going to school, living on my own, or even sitting behind this mic doing what I'm doing right now. So I'm even okay with the word physically challenged, but handicapped, nah, I don't really like that word too much. But, sometimes you learn to put the thick skin on and you just deal with it.
That's true. And I know we started off with that just being a word, but barriers even sound better. But again,
Absolutely.
This is just something that's a word, is wordplay. But,
or you can even say differently able.
But we're not going to just spend so much time on the wordplay of this.
Again, also, does it really matter actually how, truly how we choose to define or what words we end up choosing at this point, as long as, say, the what needs to be provided or things that people actually need are actually given to them or
I'm glad you
made
spoke,
accessible
I'm glad you
to
spoke
them.
of that, because that's where I was going to get into next, where under the HR 620 section, there's barriers to access.
All right, we got a caller, Linda. Good afternoon, Linda. Welcome to Starfish Speaks.
Hey there. I have a quick call and question about one of the things I've been reading some about the House Bill 620 and what they want to do and complaints that businesses have. And it seems to me that one of the complaints is that there's a small group of people that are filing all of the litigious complaints, and that's what House Bill 620 wants to eliminate. What's your thoughts on, first of all, agencies filing the complaint charges, but secondly, the barriers being put in place for persons with disabilities to be able to file if there's a barrier complaint? Do you think that an average person has the skills to be able to do that? And I'll take the answer offline.
All right, that is a very good and interesting question. Thank you, Linda.
Yeah.
Calvin, you want to touch on that?
That right there, what they're trying to do, I truly feel like they didn't go back and do enough research as in finding out, because again, you're making it harder to file that. You are making it harder for the persons with the impediment to go out and find and actually file that paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to eliminate things when you should be actually providing more into it. Again, as I said, we're looking at this barriers to access existing public accommodation. A civil action under section 302 or 303 based on a failure to remove architectural barriers to access into an existing public accommodation may not be commenced by a person aggravated by such failure.
Okay.
Again,
Unless
where I look at it, there's plenty of businesses right here in Cleveland, Ohio, who are not accommodating what we actually need.
Exactly.
And I know one company who takes it upon themselves. They pride on their customers being able to get in. So they actually see a customer with an impediment and they go out and put down a board because they know they have a steep hill to access their business.
Yeah.
So they're accommodating, and we have the push button for most doors. And
or you got some doors that just open automatically without the push button.
Right, which is good. But again, this is something that we really need to file and get everywhere. We need to get all public places that ability to have ADA accommodations.
I like that, and it's truth behind that, very much so. Very much so. Willem, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
I actually would wonder exactly, well, what's the motivation for this change? Why is there this, say, added loop, added monkey hoop to actually have people jump through in order to get?
Oh, say, man, I like that one.
Hey,
I like that.
Be able to get businesses or organizations, whatever, to actually meet the ADA requirements. For me, from what I've been actually reading about this, it seems like it boils down to it is an added step that puts most of the burden on the individuals, simply that so that it can prevent or actually delay the implementation of those, say, financial sort of punitive sort of things that would be applied to companies that fail to actually comply with requests for ADA accessibility or whatever else. Now, yes, there are exceptions to those requirements. So for certain places, if it is impossible given the building's design or whatever else, there are exceptions to those. So it's not like there's, it's a unreasonable request.
Exactly.
So it's sort of, it seems like there's this, say, extra step being put in there that makes it so that instead of a larger entity operating on behalf of those who have disabilities, be able to actually go through the process of ensuring that the complaints get filed, that all the steps and necessary steps are actually followed through in the process, that instead individuals have to do it, which for the most part, will they have the time in their lives to do it?
Not only that, as you just said, you're putting it back on the person, which I'm not against being accountable. Being accountable, but don't make it where you're using jargon for the stuff and we don't know it because you're not putting out the right
or more
information.
simply, why punish the individual who is already at a disadvantage?
Exactly. And again,
so in other words, it's like pay attention. It's like pay attention to your surroundings almost.
Yeah, you're going to pay attention to your surroundings, but again, they're putting it back on the individual with the impediment.
Exactly.
And sometimes the individual with the impediment just do not know. Just do not know where to start.
Exactly.
Right.
So
it's like you got here and figure it out for yourself.
Right. But make the literature known. Make it simple.
Right.
Make it simple. Seriously.
Exactly.
In a more perfect world, yes, but make it simple to where, as you just said yourself, they're adding loopholes.
Well, monkey hoops more so, not a loophole per se, because it doesn't make anything
monkey
easier.
Hoops,
just
obstacles, whatever you want to call it.
You're adding that, and again, this has been a law since 1990.
Going on 28 years.
1990.
Well, portions of it actually are, go back even further than that. So when it comes down to it, there's large portions of ADA that actually have, predate 1990 that, go way, way back. I mean, there are portions of ADA which have dealt with, say, telecommunications aspects or whatever else that, go back to the 70s and, further.
70s and probably even further than that.
Yeah.
So it would be safe to say that there's a lot of work has been done, but there's still even more work that needs to be done.
Now, just to sort of loop back real quick, the whole point of why this has come up as a topic is, in case for those who didn't actually know, maybe missed the news stories, whatever else, there is what we've been talking about, this proposed House bill piece. It is a amendment or change to ADA that is currently being, it's been paused or shelved at the moment, but is in the House of Representatives as a proposed change.
Right.
And it is pretty significant change, pretty huge ramifications that could come from it, especially if it's not, say, changed or revised from here. But this is something that has come up as an issue as of the end of this past year. And so that's part of the reason why this topic has come up so immediately, and we're kind of looking at it so intently right now. Okay. It is something that is very much so now, especially, going to be something that could very well alter the very course that our the our disability rights and also civil rights movements have actually gone and changed. So
You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
And again, a lot of these go back to the 70s, as you know, with the Rehabilitation Act, all the way back to 1973. And this setback that they're trying to do only gives us, which it should, I'm not going to say it give us all, but it should give us more motivation to become aware and push back, if you may.
Push back. Exactly. So, my question for the two of you, and Willem, I'll start with you first, and then after he's done, Calvin, you can give your answer. My question is, do you feel that there is enough or lack of knowledge of the ADA?
I absolutely believe there's actually a lack of knowledge. I will honestly admit that I personally have learned quite a bit just through having to look up some things, actually even reading through this proposed revision and learning more about the portions of ADA that really deal with those who have physical disabilities and physical limitations. I have a great deal of knowledge and background and knowing some of the things about ADA that deal with like the universal accessibility aspect, the what's Section 508, and the portions of it that deal with technologies.
Right.
However, when it comes to the stuff that deals with more of these, these physical environment requirements, the standards for actually, requiring handicap,
It's okay.
accessible parking and accessible entrance ways for people who may have wheelchairs or whatever else. Those sort of things are it's a new area. There's a lot of information in it and a lot of things that I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know. And I actually thought I had a pretty good idea, a pretty good understanding at least, or at least better than most, but I clearly didn't actually know as much as I thought I did.
Exactly.
And I must say it's a rather humbling thing for me because I actually was thinking, hey, I'm pretty much an expert on this already. Yeah, no, not at all. So I would say that most people have probably next to no idea about really what ADA fully encompasses and just how broad and how expansive its influence is.
Okay.
All right,
Calvin,
like
what about you?
I like that, and I commend you for being a man who says, I did not know.
Right.
Again, as we were just briefly speaking about, there are humans who do not know, but you just admitted that it's information that you do not know that you just gained. And I truly feel like there's information out there again, but enough. No, one can never have too much knowledge.
Absolutely. And I mean, even sitting here now, like you guys just said, it's still a lot of stuff out here that even we didn't know about. We knew about the majority of it, but it's still a lot of stuff out here that hasn't been touched on. And I think by doing this now, it's not only educating us, but it's educating our listeners. You even got some people who knew nothing about the Americans with Disabilities Act.
And you're right. And as you said, just going back to, is there enough knowledge?
Exactly.
Again, I feel like there is a true lack of knowledge, but the knowledge that is out there is how do you go about obtaining it?
Absolutely.
Or even possibly understanding it along the way.
Right.
Now, I will say that we're going to have to go to break shortly, but if we have anybody who actually has any questions,
yeah, feel free to give us a call, 216-578-1490. And we'll be right back. Starfish Speaks, News Talk.
Join us for Do Something Day in partnership with Ridolph Farm and Green in the Ghetto, located at 81st and Kinsman, Monday, January 15th from 11 a.m. till 3 p.m. Sign up for a team and learn how to make soil, plant vegetables, and more. For more details, log on to newstalkcleveland.com.
Hi, this is Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Keeping It Real with Al Sharpton. What you'll get on my show is real, plain, and simple. You get the truth. You get the facts. I'm here. I'll always be here, and I'll always keep it real. We keep it real. We keep it real. We keep it real.
Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Weekdays 1 till 4 p.m. on the People's Station, News Talk 1490 WERE. And streaming live on the new BlackPlanetRadio.com.
Hello, this is Donna Gilcher of Starfish Speaks. Join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 to discuss hot topics in education. We will talk about resources in the community that address the needs of children with disabilities and enhance the lives of parents and much more. So join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 for Starfish Speaks. If you have a question, we have answers.
WERE Cleveland Heights, WENZ HD2, and WZAK HD3 Cleveland.
All right, welcome back to Starfish Speaks right here on News Talk 1490. And in case you're just joining us, we are discussing the Americans with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as the ADA. It's trying to be eliminated and basically wiped out like it never existed, which is not fair. It's not right at all. Please feel free to give us a call and join in the conversation. 216-578-1490. Once again, that's 216-578-1490. Again, with my co-host, Mr. Willem Ekels.
Yeah, so I wanted to actually bring up this idea of, though, why it matters to actually know about ADA and why, say, those who may otherwise think, oh, it doesn't apply to them, they don't have any real investment in it, no stake in the matter, why they should actually know something about it at the very least. And to start off, one of the things I'd like to point out is, from my background in the IT world and all that, it's pretty obvious, pretty much known that things like Siri, Cortana, the Google Assistant, all of those things, those speech recognition technologies that we have, a lot of them trace back their lineage to an origin which was specifically focused on accessibility. I mean, does anybody remember the first and second generation iPhones? They were so much better than Android devices. Mm-hmm. They had built-in speech recognition capabilities. They had, all these other things of, I could invert the colors of my screen. So if it's, there's this or that, environment, I can still see my phone. Or right. For those like people who had an issue with the font size, they could increase the font size of the text on their phone. Those were things.
It's almost like Dragon Naturally Speaking.
Yeah.
The voice activated program which allows you to say what you want and it just types it in as you're saying it. You're not typing anything, which I think is truly amazing. I had a chance to use that a few times when I was in college, and it helped me out a great deal when it came to those term papers, man, I tell you. So, yeah, Dragon Naturally Speaking.
That software's main focus was for actually providing some of that, accessibility kind of things for it. Mm-hmm. People who, say, couldn't type easily or that being able to actually do that.
Exactly.
Your dexterity manipulation was hindered.
Right.
So, again, this is all come into play where the ADA has grown to allow us, as you said, in the technology world, just alone in the technology world, whether it's cell phones, computers, have the ability to make it right and go out into the workforce where, again, I really want to believe back in the early days, 70s, where it was segregated workplace. They didn't get into the integrated until later on, mid 70s, where you have the workshops. You have you guys over here, you guys over here, and just meaning just the fact of you were limited, you were placed off by your limited skills and function. So now, with this day and age and the technology, along with how things are set.
All right, hold that thought, Calvin. We got a caller on line 1, and it's our very own Donna. Hey, Donna.
Hey guys, you did awesome. I'm sorry to interrupt the technology piece, but I
Thank
wanted
you
to
very
throw
much.
in how the ADA has actually helped with employment, because I'm so about employment of individuals with disabilities. And some of those call out to some of those companies that are going up and beyond to it. So, in 2016, the employment of people with disabilities was 17.9. And if we go back to the early 1990s, it was less than 5%. And this year, in 2017, it rose to 20% compared to the 65% of non-disabled individuals. But here's the thing I think we need to call out to, is CVS pharmacies and their commitment to people with disabilities. So they have opened now, I think, something like 250 training centers across the country to train individuals with disabilities to work in CVS pharmacies, and have made a commitment to hire 5,000 employees by 2022, sorry. And that's huge. And
Yes,
when you
that's
look
very
at
big.
when you look at the recent 2017 Disability Equality Index, they had 100%.
Absolutely, and that's amazing. Yeah, and big time shout out to CVS Pharmacy for that. I think that's huge. Thank you.
So I think we've got to start using, as citizens, both disabled and non-disabled, our voices and our feet and our dollars
Absolutely.
at those companies that support, give accessibility, make sure that they're open to anybody and everybody with our dollars, because we can't change. ADA has cracked open that door, but unfortunately, guys, ADA can't change attitudes.
It can't
You
do
are
the work for
absolutely
us,
right.
so to speak.
Right. It can do the work for you.
The only thing that can change attitudes of people is, A, seeing how persons with disabilities are actually an enhancement to a business,
Right.
first off. But secondly, consumers using their dollars and using their feet to support those businesses that are embracing a collaborative and inclusive environment. But I just thought it was interesting, and I just wanted to do a shout out to CVS. And if we look at that, we look at that index list that came out, there's actually 68 companies that had above 50% on the index. So that's big compared to 5 years ago, et cetera. But I think we've got far more to do.
Absolutely.
Far more to do.
Absolutely.
But I just wanted to say hi. You guys are doing awesome. I'm loving hearing you guys from Hawaii, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so
very proud
much,
of you
Donna.
guys. Welcome, Calvin, to Starfish Speaks.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
me. Thank you for having me. And as you were just speaking on that, Donna, I would like to go also back into where, speaking as in training, you spoke of how CVS does it, but there are entities here that goes upon themselves to train you. And as I say, I was one of the guys who was working with vocational guidance services, and one, I trained with them. Then two, I got individuals who came in with their impediment to get their training to set them on their way. Now, it's all about, one, your attitude, two, your willpower and willing to do better for yourself when it comes down to that.
And not to mention work ethic.
Oh, you know what? And that, that goes back. That's, one of the things that I'm always drilling is those work ethic, those soft skills.
Exactly.
And I think, there are some individuals with disabilities that sit back and feel like there's an entitlement and just some of those basic
or their own feelings
work attitudes and skills, showing up on time, being respectful, using appropriate language, being able to show that you can be flexible in your job thing, following directions, all of those things. Sometimes, they don't show up with the right attitude for work and then blame it on their disability or people not accepting the disability.
Exactly.
And that is very true, along with the fact of there's a class that's taught called life skills where you get time management, problem solving, all of these little things where the soft skills are touched on. Again, some people may not ever actually understand soft skills until they get put into these predicaments.
These situations,
again,
exactly.
There's training out there for whomever, not just someone with a physical impediment, a hearing impediment. They're out there for all.
I actually, I am a product of a similar sort of training program. I got my IT certifications and did a work adjustment program that I went through the Cuyahoga County Board of Developmental Disabilities, as well as also with Goodwill. And I will say that there was a lot of times that was difficult to show up on time. There was difficulties I had, and the biggest thing that was the challenge was not so much actually not having those difficulties. It was actually working past them and being able to learn to do better the next time, not actually fall into a mindset of already being defeated from the get-go. And that was something that took a lot of effort, a lot of work with it. I personally met quite a few people along the way that they had a lot of, I felt like they had a lot of great potential and all that, but ultimately at times they kind of defeated themselves before they even started, simply because they fell into a mindset that they couldn't.
I believe that right there with the word potential. Again, here's the wordplay I look at. Potential is just saying I have the basic. I have the basic. But it's with inside you that pulls the fulfillment out, that pulls the best.
Right.
You would say.
And even in my case, I got to give a very special shout out to United Cerebral Palsy, because that's where I got my first, shall I say, real world start after I graduated high school, because they taught you not only employment skills, but basically those independent living skills. And I will forever be grateful to not only the knowledge that I obtained from them, but just within my family, just various people that worked with me. Hi, Mom. My grandmother, who I love dearly, and, just various others. But, yeah, United Cerebral Palsy, that's where I got my first start. So I'll forever be grateful to them.
Well, I want to call, I want to bring to the table. We had in 2016 the reauthorization of the Workforce Investment Act, which pretty much expanded the operations of Ohioans, opportunities for Ohioans with disabilities, to teaching earlier, starting at 14, those time management, soft skills, those employability skills, with every summer offering anyone with a disability. And it doesn't matter if it's only ADHD. It doesn't have to be a physical disability. Opportunities to earn money at minimum wage or above in a work kind of environment. So if you have, some of our listeners have 14 and up individuals, and you don't know about this, then you need to go to the school, ask the intervention specialist, ask who the transition specialist is, and say, hey, I want to be referred to Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities so I can participate in some work environment.
Exactly. Get the information. That's why it's out there.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
You guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. I can't wait to hear the rest of the show. And I think we need to have cerebral palsy, the United Cerebral Palsy come on and share some of their wisdom.
Absolutely. That'd be excellent. Thank you, Donna.
All right, bye, guys.
All right. That was our very own Miss Donna Gilcher, who opened this door for me to host this show, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. So thank you again, Donna, for calling. I see we have some people listening live on Instagram. Thank you very much. And, oh, man, this is fun. So I guess we basically just answered the third question and a little bit of the fourth. But are the resources still resourceful?
That's an interesting way of phrasing that.
Yeah.
I would say, as that kind of baffles you right there. Resources are always going to be resourceful, but again,
as long as they are able to be accessed and utilized, right?
Exactly. You have to be able to know where to get it from.
Exactly.
Or be able to actually get the use of them, even if you are, already know where they are.
Exactly. You can go to the library, go to 211 First Call for Help, go to Ohioans with the Disability, ODD. You can go to all of these places, but what you going to do with it? Like, how resourceful is it?
Exactly.
Like, that's a good way to put it. And
you have to be willing to, I want to say, step out of the box.
Your resources are only as resourceful as you are.
As you are, exactly. Exactly.
It's not a harsh way to put it, but I like to tell it as you're going to adapt or perish.
I don't think that's harsh at all.
No, that's just real. That's just real.
You're going to adapt or perish.
Exactly.
And adapting, though, doesn't mean that it's, you have to go all the way one direction, all the way the other direction.
No,
adapting can also mean that, there's actually a middle ground or a compromise along the way for things in life.
And these are things where a lot of people may not understand. Adapt just means assisting. Again,
there you go.
As I say, me changing the way the ADA is saying, ADA is written, I say assisting disabled Americans.
Exactly.
That's all we're doing, and that's the adaptation. Where, again,
or in terms of adapting, like for me, and a way I adapted in school for note taking, because writing things down is ridiculously difficult. For me, it takes a lot of time and effort. The way I adapted was I type my notes.
And see, one of my biggest obstacles was, like, my handwriting isn't the best, but I didn't write as fast as everybody else. So again, I greatly appreciate the Dragon Naturally Speaking, and it was two people who actually introduced me to that. Calvin was one of them, but it was also one of my professors when I was at ITT Tech. And once I got introduced to it, man, it was a lifesaver. Like, truthfully, it was.
And nowadays, though, the brilliant thing of that is, though, nowadays, with newer, operating systems, especially like Windows 10, all that, things where you can actually speak to the computer and it will do the writing of emails or, papers or anything. They built that kind of stuff in now. Right.
It's built into it.
So everybody can have access to it.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah, I would like to actually have this question. Is accessibility really accessible with modern day living? I'd like to hear that from our callers. Please, someone call in and let us know your input on, is accessibility really accessible with modern day living?
Yes, feel free to call in 216-578-1490. Again, that's 216-578-1490. And we'll be right back. Starfish Speaks. Don't go away.
This is Donna Gilcher of Starfish Speaks. Join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 to discuss hot topics in education. We will talk about resources in the community that address the needs of children with disabilities and enhance the lives of parents and much more. So join us every Sunday, 1 to 2 on WERE 1490 for Starfish Speaks. If you have a question, we have answers.
Hi, I'm Ben Affleck. The only thing better than playing a hero in the movies is being a hero in real life. Like the 50,000 veterans who returned from Iraq and Afghanistan with devastating injuries. They are true heroes, and they're why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America. For more than 60 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has made a promise to never leave a fallen comrade behind. They make sure veterans with spinal cord injuries get the quality medical care, rehabilitation, and housing they need when they come home. They stay with our fallen heroes for the long term, offering counseling, job training, and support to help them regain the freedom and independence they fought so hard for, all at no cost to them. Our veterans fought for us. Let's fight for them. To learn more about how you can help, visit pva.org. That's pva.org. We will never leave a fallen comrade behind.
A public service message from Paralyzed Veterans of America.
Nice turn, Jill. Toby, isn't your sister doing a nice job as a new driver?
Sure. Hey, by the way, Dad, have you ever smoked marijuana? It's getting legalized everywhere, so it's okay to do now, right?
OMG, Toby, are you serious?
It's not legal everywhere, and it's not legal for kids at all.
This conversation can happen anywhere, and your kids need to know the facts. 76% of teens agree that with legalization, teenagers may be more likely to experiment with marijuana.
Legal or not, marijuana is harmful to teens' developing brains and can cause permanent damage. It could also cause heart and respiratory problems.
I heard it could lead to using other drugs.
61% of teens agree that teenagers who use marijuana are more likely to try heroin.
But marijuana has been around forever.
Sure, but the type that's out there now is stronger than when I was younger, so it's really important for you two to be careful.
I never thought about that.
Well, now's the time to start thinking about it.
Now's the time to talk to your kids about substance use. Learn more at rosecrans.org.
WERE Cleveland Heights, WENZ HD2, and WZAK HD3 Cleveland.
All right, welcome back to Starfish Speaks right here on News Talk 1490. Man, I'm loving this show, man. This is like fun. I'm gonna just call it for what it is, man. It's fun. First of all, I want to thank the original co-host, Miss Donna Gilcher, for calling in and giving her insight and everything. Thank you, Donna, and thank the two guys that's in here with me. Willem, thank you a lot, and Calvin, man, you just done came in and just changed the game, dude. You just changed the game, man. For real.
I didn't really mean to change that, but
That's not a bad thing.
Well, thank you. I just wanted to allow our listeners a different vibe of what mainstream media gives us.
Right, most definitely.
We get a little piece from mainstream media about each one of these individual pieces that we're talking about.
Right. They don't give you everything.
No, and so much more. Just as we were just looking at the future of ADA issues, what barriers still exist for people? What still exists? What barriers do you see for our upcoming individuals who have a barrier?
Or even actually what or even the future of technology and its actual role in, say, and this whole discussion as well. So
see, technology is going to be a barrier also for Ohioans. I mean, not just Ohioans, but Americans with disabilities.
It would be both. There would be, say, technological barriers, as well as also technological aids, and with it along too.
It's going to be pros and cons to it, just like with anything. You know,
life.
Life. Just call it for what it is, life.
That's true. And again, as we just said with asking, is accessibility really accessible with modern day living? How much accessibility is really out there?
A lot more than people probably realize, to a large degree. Honestly, that kind of question kind of threw me because, I mean, part of our modern world and our modern living includes a lot of accessibility things that were, originally thought of or made to actually aid certain subsets of individuals, yet so permeates everything now that pretty much everybody sees, uses, interacts with those things, and they don't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of those uses or aids are out there, like as we mentioned, with newer operating system building in speech, to text capabilities, or
And as you just said, a little piece you just said, we don't realize.
We don't realize it.
And that's what I mean by just the fact of the modern day living. It's out there, yes. We see the curb cutouts. We see the push button for the doors, the natural dragon speaking.
The dragon naturally speaking?
Yeah,
okay.
dragon naturally speaking. My dad.
Nuance is very appreciative to you for continuously saying the name correctly.
But that, again, right there, a lot of us do not know. It's overlooked, is what I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
Overlooked, and a lot of cases you can say is swept under the rug. You can even go so far as to say it's
swept under the rug. It just said it's something that is because nobody was ever, said, hey, that's there because of, it's an accessibility thing for this or that. People just, they see it there, and it's like there's a plant on a table there, or there's a painting on the wall. Oh,
I can even go so far as to say for individuals with disabilities who drive, hand controls, because
adapt.
Exactly. It's all about adaptation, because I know.
What about the work to allow for monkeys to control robotic arms with their brains? Honestly, just wait.
Oh, man.
I mean, you have people who have wheelchairs they can control via actually a blow straw. I mean, you have different systems like that. I mean, eventually they won't even need that. It'll just, their brain will do it.
Hey, Michael Knight had a car that drove itself. I'm going to just call it for what it is, man. I'm a Knight Rider fan, so...
and as you speak on that, but going back to technology, I was just in an Uber earlier this week, and the driver informed me that they're going to have self-driving cars pretty soon.
See, Knight Rider come to life.
So again, the adaptation of technology, and again, this is not just up under the ADA. This is just everywhere and with all. So let's go into let's ask what knowledge can be obtained.
Yeah, can knowledge be obtained?
About what? Let's say, knowledge obtained? I think any knowledge can be obtained as long as you actually have the drive and dedication to do so.
There you go.
Right. Now, there were pieces, as you spoke on earlier, Greg, that the Department of Justice is trying to 86.
Right.
How do we particularly feel about that?
Well, for me personally, how I feel about it, and you and I spoke a little bit about this off camera, but I'm going to just go ahead and share it with everybody. For me personally, this law has allowed me to do a whole lot of things. I graduated from college twice. I lived on my own independently for many years, and I'm grateful for that. I've learned how to do various things, but the most that I'm more appreciative of is the fact that I'm sitting behind this mic doing what I'm doing right now, because I've always said that if a man with polio can become president of the United States, then there's no way in the world a person with any type of disability, regardless of what it is, can do anything in life that they set their minds to or they want to, regardless of the obstacles that come in front of them. And that's just where I stand with that. So, truthfully, I want to say, pay attention to what's in front of you before you just try to destroy it without getting the proper effect of what is done for people.
Though, unfortunately, I think the entire intent of this may actually be not so much to, they are paying attention to what's in front of them at the moment, and the intent is to actually make it so that there isn't as much of a requirement for businesses and things to adhere to ADA.
Exactly.
They're trying to inhibit it, but actually, make it a little less effective and all that along the way. But so in the end, I think that really the thing we should focus on is letting everybody else, know and understand that they should be aware of the fact that if this is where we're going to start, where is it going to end?
Exactly. That goes to the last question. So where do we go from here?
I honestly would like to say that I feel like we definitely should do a couple more, actually, episodes as well, actually. So maybe take some of what we've discussed today, chunk it into parts, and do additional follow-up episodes, because I feel like we still got a lot of material, a lot of things to actually discuss.
Right.
As you just asked that question, where do we go from here? And as your answer, I say we go, only place to go is up.
There you
but
go.
It's
what if I'm scared of heights?
Adapt.
I'll try.
Adapt.
You have to adapt.
But again, we go up from here. We go and hit the ground running, rolling, however you want to put it. We go and hit the ground and allow our minds and audience find out the information.
Exactly.
Or at least try to actually help broaden their horizons a bit and actually bring more awareness to it. And even if it's just a slightly subconscious part of it all, at least that's actual progress.
Right. And don't be afraid to step out of your box, man. Step out of your comfort zone sometimes.
Like, give us a call for once. Instead of actually continuing to look at the phone and think, oh, I want to call, but no, I'm not going to call in. Step out of your comfort zone. Yes, please call us. Join our discussion, please.
Yeah, you can even join us, follow it on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, all that stuff, because we keep it going, man. But, yeah, never be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, man. There's resources out there. You just have to go about getting them and not be afraid of the aftermath. Well, that's just about all the time we got for this week, man.
We appreciate everybody listening and keeping with us. And we look forward to having you all join us again.
I want to thank my guests, Calvin Turner, man. Thank you so much for coming in here. And like I said, man, you just changed the game, but it's not a bad thing.
Well, again, I do thank you for having me aboard. And again, please, if you do
you
more
should join us. You should join us again, absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you.
Add a good element to the mix here.
Well,
yeah,
thank
man.
you.
I think I am gonna bring him back for future shows and everything. Cause
wait, is he like an add-on or something here? I mean,
I was just messing with him because I always tell him like, man, you always getting into stuff, but this time he got into something, positive. But it was cool, man. He gave his feedback and put his own spin on it.
Please have me on anytime.
Most definitely.
I feel like you, Greg, would be more the troublemaker than him, but.
Hey, he's the oldest, man.
So?
Age is a number.
Once again, this is Starfish Speaks on News Talk 1490 WERE. We appreciate your listening in, and we look forward to having you join us again.
Thank you.
Exactly. See you next Sunday. Starfish Speaks, News Talk.
In a perfect dream, I am a dancer, I am a singer too, I am a lover, know what to do when it's all over, and there's nothing left to, won't surrender, tell you I lose, met in the middle, met in another life, I know a simple way to survive. I alone know me.
preceding was a paid program brought to you by Starfish Speaks. The views and opinions expressed are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of this station or its management.